A millionaire by the time you were 14 years old. That is really unheard of.
According to statistics, I'm supposed to either be in prison or dead. So I think what I've accomplished growing up in the projects in the south side of Chicago and being on 72nd and Jeffrey, what I've accomplished is common sense. It's just not common practice. I think entrepreneurship really takes place in the lunchroom, especially in the hood, as they call it. I'll trade you my chocolate cookies for your chocolate milk. But I thought from a perspective of understanding that I personally believe that the two most important times, as my grandmother taught me, in anybody's life is when we were born and when we find out why we were born. So I think that at an early age, I was blessed to get in touch with that.
You know, my parents taught me valuable lessons as well. How did you know, and how did you have the wherewithal at that age, that young, to start selling things? I mean, you said you started selling rocks, and people were like, isn't that the rock that was by my door?
Right.
And you sold it to them. You have the wherewithal to do something like that and the courage.
Well, I think that comfort is the enemy of achievement. Growing up poor, when I woke up, my mom was up. When I went to sleep, my mom was up. And my father was a black leader and activist, and activism doesn't come with a salary. So I realized, I said, wait a minute, when my mom had a heart attack, I said, I must do something to help her. So I went out and I sold oversized rocks that I saw on the streets. I would paint them and I would ask people, would you like to buy this? And people look at me like, isn't that the rock that was in front of my door? Yeah. And I would say yes, but it could be used as paperweights, bookends, and door stoppers. So I didn't really know what entrepreneurship was, but I believe that necessity is the mother of invention. So I got out there and I tried. And I think that, of course, as grandma says, nothing beats a failure but a try.
It's very interesting that you say that, because I remember we were doing stories on this phenomenon that was going on across the country called The Secret. And there is an anecdote in The Secret about this guy who started selling these rocks, at any rock, but he started calling them gratitude rocks, right? Yes. And so people started buying them because it was to remember to be grateful. And that's so right. You can always do something. Do you think, though, that you're exceptional in any way, or can just about anyone do what Farrah Gray has done?
Absolutely. I believe anybody can do it. I don't believe that I'm one in a million. I believe I'm one of a million. What I've accomplished, anyone can do, because again, like I said, I'm supposed to either be in prison or dead. And it's not that people lack brain power, we lack resources. I had a teacher tell me, I told her I was going to be a millionaire entrepreneur one day. I was 7. She looked at me and she said, no, you're not. You're poor and your family's poor. You better go find somebody to work for. And she kind of pointed towards McDonald's.
Doesn't that make you go, hey, wait a minute, no. Doesn't that sort of empower you even more, or just give you the fuel to prove that person wrong?
Well, at 7 years old, it didn't. I didn't know. I remember going home to my grandmother. I said, the teacher said I wouldn't be successful and I couldn't be successful. And she said, remember that no matter what anyone says to you, wake up every morning, honey, she said, and say, why not me? If you want millions, if you want a mansion, she said, and prophetically, she said, if you want to put an end to homelessness, and I've been the spokesman for the National Coalition for the Homeless, when I found out that the average age of a homeless person was 9.5 years old, I knew that I could give back. So she said, wake up and say, why not me? She said, if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to.
That's your message to everyone. And listen, you know, like, your life hasn't been a fairy tale. As you said, your mom had a heart attack and you lost her sister, which had a profound effect on your life.
To leukemia. Yes, and I've been the spokesman now. I've been working hard all over the country trying to raise the awareness within various urban communities to get more people in the bone marrow registry, because we're losing people that could live if they could find a perfect bone marrow match.
As an African-American, first we're calling because you are very young to be a millionaire, and I'm a multi-millionaire now, I'm sure. It's been 10 years, you're 24 years old.
I'm an old man.
What should people take away from this interview about Farrah Gray, that they can achieve what you can achieve, or it's really not all about money, is it?
It is not. I believe it's about being rich from the inside out. Growing up, I saw so many people that were rich but unhappy. And conversely, I saw so many people that didn't have money in my neighborhood that were happy. So I said it's important to combine the two, and that's why I came up with the millionaire philosophy, somebody who is rich from the inside out. And I think it's important to find your area of excellence.
It's also important, too, though, because really money is power if you're interested in having any sort of influence. But if you're interested in having influence, you do. I mean, if you look at what Oprah Winfrey has done, and anyone who has achieved anything, a lot of their power comes through having the money and the wealth to be able to back it up. Let's just be honest about that. And your book, Millionaire, I wish you could see it because it's dog ear. I read it a couple of years ago when I lived in Chicago. At the same time I read your book, there was this young guy who had been a community organizer and then was a state senator. And the same thing, your father, you said, was in community relations and planning, and it doesn't come with a salary. What do you think about that? You've met him, you've been to the White House, you're from the same city.
Sky's the limit. the sky is the limit. And I say that to every person that I meet, that now we can truly say that any and everything is possible, because at one time we did see a glass ceiling as African Americans. You know, we are the great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren of those who took the greatest fall. So to see someone that a lot of African Americans say, you know, he represents us, but we also represent him, and I think that's important. And we all have a seat in the Obama administration. That's why I tell people with the stimulus package, we can all do our part to see a better today and a better tomorrow for generations yet unborn.
Thank you very much. Let's hope there gets a point, Farrah, where it doesn't have to be firsts anymore, that everyone will have achieved a first, and we're truly the melting pot that we're supposed to be. Farrah Gray, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.